my show had value and that, I'm sorry, that what I was doing had value.
Please, privileged, rich, white elected Democrats, you just keep publicly defenestrating your party leader. And it's this idea of I want to be with the side that's waving the biggest flag. I want to fit in. And there is a huge element, to be honest, of anti-blackness in a lot of this. Trump posted this obviously AI photo of him standing on a mountaintop next to the Canadian flag, looking off into the distance with the caption, "Oh, Canada." Even though Enrique Tarrio, who's the head of the Proud Boys, is a black Latino, but he's down with white supremacy, down with them. And there's this idea that I'm black, but I'm not black. I may look black to you. I may be black if I'm walking through Bloomingdale's and get followed around. But in my mind, I'm identifying with whiteness because whiteness means privilege and it means not being a black American. This has to be unpacked.
Defending books that people find inconvenient. I am not sorry that I stood up for those things because those things are of God.
Make your own dinner, MAGA. Make your own sandwiches. Wipe your own tears. Troll amongst yourselves with Elon and leave us alone. We don't want to put up with your trolling while we eat our tofurkey. Get over it. Stop acting like we owe you. And for God's sakes, stop whining. It's embarrassing.
I try not to cry on TV.
You've done a hell of a lousy job. You're fired. Get out of here. Right?
The sun sets on Joy Reid's career, and I couldn't be happier. Couldn't have happened to a nicer lady. MSNBC has canceled Joy Reid's show. So today we're going to take a look back at her highlight, or rather, it's more like a low light reel. Social media users have ruthlessly mocked MSNBC anchor Joy Reid following the cancellation of her show on MSNBC. The ReidOut has been a nightly program for the network, with the host regularly slamming the U.S. president, Donald Trump. MSNBC's decision to cancel Joy Reid's show, first airing in 2020, was canceled as a part of a shakeup at the network. Reid's 7 p.m. slot will be replaced by Simone Sanders Towson, Alicia Mendez, and Michael Steele, according to sources. Users on social media quickly reacted to Reid's cancellation, with many labeling the MSNBC host as awful and unhinged. Megyn Kelly says, remember when Joy Reid laughingly mocked white women's tears as pathetic and offensive to her? Well, who's crying now, Joy? Good riddance to the absolute worst person in television. Rita says, genuinely shattered that the uniquely awful Joy Reid has been sacked. She has provided lefties losing it with so much content. Not only is she nasty, extreme left race baiter, but she's also stupendously stupid. Let's hope The View gives her a role. Matt Walsh says, deeply saddened by the passing of Joy Reid's MSNBC show. It was a great resource for right-wing podcasters looking for a clip to play and make fun of. I can't tell you how many slow news days Joy Reid helped me through. I hope she finds somewhere else to spout her insane bullcrap. Charlie Kirk says, Joy Reid, aka the race lady at MSNBC, just had her show canceled because it was unwatchable. Good riddance to the most vitriolic, lowbrow, and unhinged race hustler ever allowed on national television. Libs of TikTok says, Joy Reid has been fired. Turns out calling your political opponents people from WW2 that have issues with people of various shades and colors and skin tones every night for an hour doesn't get viewers. Culture War says, Joy Reid's show has been canceled by MSNBC. Reid's show promoted taking issue with skin colors and pushed radical left-wing conspiracy theories. The show was unwatchable and the ratings fell off a cliff since Trump was elected. The left-leaning host also famously compared Sleepy Joe surviving an illness to Trump surviving a would-be evildoer, which led to his fight, fight, fight moment.
These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? that he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same?
It should.
I mean, it's not exactly the same. It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
Here is Joy Reid being a hysterical banshee and using words she doesn't seem to understand, like coup.
We begin tonight with a full-on crisis in our democracy, as federal workers are literally locked out of their offices while operatives working for a private citizen essentially take over our government. If this were happening in any other country right now, I promise you, I'd be on the air.
I'm also sad to see her go for the reason that you alluded to, which is that this woman was just so positively unhinged. You never knew exactly what she was going to say next, but you knew that it was going to be completely lunatic, bat crap crazy.
I appreciate my haters as well, because hating is it's a type of fandom. We are seeing a global trend of the far right surging. It isn't just happening here. But let's bring you back to the U.S. and to our local gangster, Donald Trump. He's not even president yet, and he's already spending his time sitting in his golden palace, Mar-a-Lago, muscling other countries like he's Tony Soprano with a social media site. All that matters in this election, the only thing that matters in this election, is keeping Donald Trump and Project 2025 out of power. Keeping that insane ideology of white Christian nationalism and white male Christian dominance out of power. That's all that matters. I genuinely don't care who the Democratic nominee is, and I'm being real. I don't care. If it's Biden, fine. If it's Kamala Harris, fabulous, right? But it's going to be one of the two of them. Let's just not play crazy games now. There are rules the way that this process works. It's one of the two of them. And future president is moving quickly to fill the clown car and round out his cabinet before he changes his mind and fires them all. Moments ago, Trump announced that he has selected Fox Weekend morning show host, you can't make this up, Pete Hegseth, to serve as Secretary of Defense, because why not? These are the people who say the undocumented, who they get to call illegal immigrants, like the Pilgrims had permission to come here, have to suffer the consequences of their actions, right? They made the choice to overstay their visas or come into our country illegally. So if they get deported, consequences. But you right-wingers shouldn't have to suffer the consequences of your votes? I mean, sending non-Mexicans to countries other than Mexico, like, say, to Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, Panama, or Grenada. It's the type of arrogance that disregards that other countries have laws and policies of their own that, believe it or not, have nothing to do with what Trump wants. These are sovereign nations, not U.S. colonies. Let's not forget, too, the cruelty of such a plan to deport thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to countries where they don't know the people or maybe even the language and have no connection to the culture or a means of survival. It's not even clear if these deportees would be allowed to legally remain and work and live in those countries. Though NBC News reports that in the case of Mexico, Trump plans to use the threat of tariffs to try to force that country to comply. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said she does not want to accept non-Mexicans sent from the United States. While the Office of the Prime Minister of the Bahamas said it was presented with the idea of accepting migrants from other countries by Trump's transition team and firmly rejected. All that happened this weekend. But please, privileged, rich, white elected Democrats, you just keep publicly defenestrating your party leader and president to feed the media thirst for Democrats in disarray stories because you're scared for your own seats and apparently don't know how to campaign on a surging economy, high-tech jobs, and $35 insulin. I mean, you're the most important thing here, right? You and your donors, of course, not the actual voters in your party base who can't afford to see prices double on everything they buy due to Trump's China tariffs and who would be the first ones fired from their federal civil service jobs under Project 2025 or on the streets by Trump's stormtroopers if they protest. You do you, doing things like reportedly debating whether or not to invade Mexico, threatening BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, with 100% tariffs if they don't commit to trading in dollars and not their own currencies, demanding Hamas release all hostages being held in Gaza before his inauguration, or there will be, quote, all to pay in the Middle East, even reportedly threatening Canada. According to Fox, When Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago this weekend to try to talk Trump out of his 25% tariff threat, Trump apparently suggested that if Canada can't handle the tariffs that would violate the NAFTA upgrade Trump himself signed into law, the USMCA, they should just become the 51st state. Just become the 51st state instead and allow Trudeau to be reduced to governor of the state of Canada, which caused the Prime Minister and others to laugh nervously. And while some are writing that off as just a joke, well, let's not forget, this is the same Donald Trump who at one point seriously wanted to buy the nation of Greenland, even possibly trade it for Puerto Rico. I wonder what this guy has against Puerto Rico. I'll just keep noodling on it. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Bottom line, this is how Trump operates on the world stage. He acts like he's everybody's boss, like he's the king of the world, which is bad news for basically everybody, unless your name is Vladimir Putin, the boss to Trump's underboss. The question now is, will any other leader stand up to him? And who? Who becomes the leader of the free world when Donald Trump ends Pax Americana as we know it? As Nicholas Grossman writes for The Bulwark, there is no undoing damage in history. It is up to those with power and influence to limit it now, and up to future generations to deal with it later. The post-Cold War international system has serious flaws, but at least there are clear enough rules that charges of hypocrisy mean something. Even rules more honored in the breach will be preferable to the lawlessness Trump's second term could invite.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your hosts, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Oh, Leroy, it's like I Dream of Jeannie or something. You look so good. You look so good. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think that it should be a permanent look for Leroy? I think we should always have the same hairstyle.